um, I'm sorry, was updating the city's personnel handbook. We had started this process quite a while ago. Emily and I went through your handbook and took a look at areas where we would adjust department head to city administrator, but ended up pausing that process because a lot of those decisions should actually be made by the city administrator. There were more administrative rather than legal decisions. And so one of the things that we talked about was having her start to go through that handbook and make those decisions and then bring that back to council for ratification, any changes that are necessary. And just as a preliminary review, there'll be quite a lot of changes necessary. And then I think Administrator Waite has a lot of great ideas regarding her communications with you guys and how business will function from now on. So I feel comfortable handing it over to her.
Commissioner Waite.
Thank you. So Mayor, Council, it's really important to me that I build relationships with each one of you that's transparent and built on trust. And so with that said, I have put together some recommendations of what this communication style could look like. So I'd like to provide those to you for feedback. First, I would like to send out weekly emails that would go out to each one of you as a group with a reminder not to reply all, just to reply to me if you have comments, but it would update on anything to do with city activities, what staff's working on, what I'm working on. Also, I would be sending text messages if there's anything urgent that happens, an emergency with the city or an issue that I need your attention on right away. So either an email that I had sent that needs to inform you about a critical matter or something like that. And generally have council work directly through me. And then I will disseminate information to staff. That way we have one central point of contact and we know that everybody's kind of on the same page. I know that there are times when that probably won't be possible if we're in some sort of active emergency situation, but I would hope that would kind of be our general practice. And as our city attorney mentioned, we are going to be working on updating policies and also job descriptions, current job descriptions, identify that department heads all report to you. So we will be updating those as well. I will be providing monthly reports, such as the staff reports and then also financial reports. So you'll have an up-to-date, accurate financial picture of where the city is at. And then additionally, I would like to have one-on-one meetings when possible. I'm hoping that at a minimum it could be monthly and they could be virtual or in person. But again, I leave that up to your discretion. And those are just some of the kind of recommendations that I have. So any feedback, changes, or anything I missed, I'd be happy to discuss that.
The only thing I would chime in, I love the idea of the weekly updates to keep it just updated. Okay, what are the latest findings? I don't think it needs to be super verbose, but probably just a checkpoint on how things are going. Now, the monthly with the finances will be great. Just having that discipline back in, especially on the finance side. I know we've struggled because we just haven't had a financial individual in here for a while. So helping us understand the books is going to be a good one. I like the idea about the primary email vehicle and then texting if there's an urgent matter or something else to just say, hey, and by the way, that would be for me as well. If you need something from me quickly and I'm not checking my email, just shoot me a text. You can ask Director Bowen pretty quick at answering that back. I usually have my phone on me, usually. My only ask, I guess, my only ask from the council to you is if we do have a question for, say, Director Noble or Superintendent Krebs or Chief Rash, you could send them. I'm assuming it's okay for us to send it, but make sure we're copying you on it, but maybe even better to filter it through you. But maybe if we just had just a simple question or something like that, just make sure that you're always copied on everything.
That'd be great.
Would that work?
Yeah.
Would that be acceptable for council as well? I mean, ideally, we brought her on board to alleviate this communication breakdown that we have. So will you have time in the next month to go through that entire policy manual though and find all the areas to edit and change?
So I believe that I can go through that in the next month. I've already done an initial review prior to even starting. So there, so I haven't shared kind of my edits with the city attorney yet, but I already have some ideas of some things that I'd like to change. So I think that would be possible given although consideration to the city attorney's time and their capacity. But yeah, I think we can do that.
Perfect. That's going to allow you then to provide the first draft to them, saves them their time, especially billable hours back to us. So I think that's great. Okay, other council questions, concerns, issues, thoughts?
As of right now, I don't have any at the moment, but it may pop up later on.
That's strong.
No, I'm better at the phone than the email. So before we leave tonight, I'll make sure to connect with you about getting together.
Okay, thank you.
Text message, yeah, if it's something urgent, text it, and you don't usually forget that email can be a little more difficult to loop back around to. No, I think it's great, that's why we hired her, was for that reason.
I do have one additional topic that I would like to ask for direction or clarification. So we know that Ms. Noggle needs to attend these meetings, but my question is, do you want to continue to have the chief and the superintendent attend all the meetings or only attend when they have topics on that agenda?
I personally like them here just for clarification. Because I think for being so small, like if there's tribal knowledge on something we need to have, typically that's where Chief Rash or Superintendent Krebs or Director Noggle can answer a question versus waiting to get an answer. I think it's all, I personally think it's good to have here.
I think it shows a little more transparency, having the department heads here with the community. You know, community may not interact, but once a month, and that could be at the meeting.
Yep,
Just
I would agree with that. Well, also, even beyond tribal knowledge, there's a lot of stuff going on. If you look at the dashboard this month, even from the public works, there's a lot of projects, and there might be just an odd one off that either Councilor Thomas, Councilor Yonley, or myself is like, well, what about this? Why is this dragging? In fact, I wrote notes down for this month. Even.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
So yeah, I'm kind of in agreement with that. Initially, at least we would like to go ahead and have the department heads here, so that way we can, you know, again, Superintendent Krebs, you know, the Chief Rash over there. If there's specific questions, then I'd like to have them here at least initially. You know, maybe after we get a little more comfortable with you being in the position, then you know we can kind of take a look at reusing their presence. But as of right now, you know, I'm saying, you know, Superintendent Krebs, we got this big mud puddle, this drainage problem down there. Of course, you're aware of most of the drainage problems we have in the city. You know, it's better to ask him about that than, you know, you probably don't know about the, you know, the drainage problems we have down there at the other end of 7th Street and things like that. So, so at least initially, we'd like to have them still here. So,
Okay, thank you.
So if I could add a couple more comments. So I think a couple things may be helpful. I think now that City Administrator Waite has started, it might be helpful to send around again the amendments to the city code, because that shows the sort of authority that you have delegated to her. So I think that is going to be one of the transitions that kind of comes up, you know, maybe a little bit slower as we transition that. You know, part of the reason for this is to have one point of contact and for the city council to be able to delegate decision-making authority regarding administrative matters to one person at the city. So it might help to see, you know, what aspects have been delegated to her, and then take a look again at her job description, which should, you know, reflect the changes in the code. So just going forward, you know, decisions, for instance, you know, how department heads and other employees are supervised, you know, that's part of the authority that you have delegated to her. So your responsibility now is to supervise her, and then she supervises the rest of the employees.
And actually, you bring up a really good point, and I have a note on this as well. So Superintendent Krebs, we have him on a plan right now. And I know I've talked with Director Waite on this as well, that we would like to transfer that plan from me being the person leading it, guiding it, over to Administrator Waite, and probably extend it to allow her to have time to be able to work with Mike, Superintendent Krebs, go through the current plan that's in place and see, how things are progressing. Because at this point, I think we need to hand it off to the council and again, put it over to where it actually belongs at this point.
Yep, that would be a example of an item to transition.
Now, on something like that, do we need to have a council vote on it or just a consensus that we've already brought her on board, so she should assume that, or do we need to make a motion to move that over to her, something like that?
So that's a little bit more of a complicated issue. So in her job description, and I believe in the code, authority has already been transferred to her to supervise employees. However, that's in conflict currently with the personnel handbook. So I do believe that we should bring something maybe a little bit more official on that item, or this is one of the items that is in transition. So, for the time being that the council is still involved and works with City Administrator Waite, because you guys share the authority on this matter, but as time goes on, things are more fluidly transferred.
So we can work it this way. We did want to follow up in an April meeting with Superintendent Krebs. I'm assuming at this point, though, maybe what we should do on that one is instead of bringing all the council back, maybe it's going to drive me crazy on this one. Administrator Waite and myself perhaps should sit down, meet with Superintendent Krebs on that plan for this month, and then talk about how do we extend it to make sure that she has an opportunity to come up to speed on it, and then circle back around and work with Superintendent Krebs.
That sounds like a good idea to me.
Does anyone have, council have concern if we did something like that? Okay, so that gives us a stop. Yeah, we can bring you up to speed in our next one-on-one. We'll make sure we go through it in more detail. And then we can also find time in April for you, I, and Superintendent Krebs to sit down and chat then as well.
Okay, thank you.
Ashley, anything else that I might be forgetting?
No, I think this is going to be a transition that it takes some time to get used to, how the lines of authority move. I have a lot of faith that Administrator Waite will transition nicely into this position. And so I think we just need to be cognizant that, things are changing and we're going to need to work through these issues. I think the personnel handbook is our biggest, not obstacle, but our biggest task that we need to take on first. And then go from there, as things come up, your public contracting code has been amended to, have a city administrator in there. So when, decisions come up with contracts, it may not be department head, it may be the city administrator, who has the authority to contract. So we're just going to have to be cognizant of how authority has changed with this newly hired position.
So I guess if we, I might ask, I guess, to the department heads, if you see council probably sidelining that because we're used to some old way, just remind us to please go through Administrator Waite, or just CC her on the reply and say, hey, we will continue, but make sure we're working through the right channels on this. It's going to be a slight growing curve for us on the sheet as well. And now you guys want to hear from me, everybody. Okay, Ashley, I think that's all we had you scheduled for then.
Well, thank you. And, nice to see you guys again.
Any other questions?
So you guys have the meeting scheduled for April 25th, so we're canceling that?
Let's go ahead and cancel that one. I think Administrator Waite and I can just handle it, and we'll transfer officially probably next month, but for now she and I can work in a partnership on it, and we'll meet the Superintendent Krebs then this month. So we'll do it before the end of the month.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. If it's okay with the rest of council, I'd like to move agenda topic number 2, maybe further down before consent agenda, just to allow anyone from the audience, since we typically start at 7 o'clock, gives them 12 more minutes to show up. Okay. Okay, with that, let's go ahead and move into topic 3, which would be the mayor and or council presentations. The only update I would have from the mayor's side is I did have an opportunity this morning to attend the Salem Health's Community Breakfast Forum, where they talked about challenges in this area, especially with Marion County and I believe another county on what we're doing for healthcare. I think we were primarily focused on the Salem, the Woodburn, Staten, and was it Silverton? I know, yeah, okay. Administrator Wade was down there as well, but we sat at different tables. But either way, it was an interesting breakfast. My takeaway is that the state does recognize, especially Salem Health, that we have a lack or a deficiency of trained nurses. And that's really what's holding back a lot of our medical care. The state, as well as Salem Health, is looking to expand that opportunity by opening up more positions or opportunities within the schools. And I think that will be great if it happens. That's my biggest takeaway from that. Beyond that, they talked about expanding the hospitals, which have already been expanded, the budget difficulties they're having, stuff like that. Administrator Wade was down there with me as well, and I'm not sure I'm missing, did I forget anything else? I think that's pretty much the takeaway.
Yeah, that's the takeaway.
But it was good to at least hear that they're recognizing that we do have a deficiency in nurses and we need more nurses, and it's a bottleneck. So other than that, we did have the Easter celebration, or the egg hunt, whatever we call it up there. It went great. Thank you to Public Works. I didn't see any complaints on grass or chemicals or anything else, so that went well. It was well attended. Appreciate our police department offering up one of the vehicles for the loudspeaker. That was great. Other than that, I saw a lot of smiling faces and kids having a blast. So it was good to see that really coming back. I think we had one last year as well, but it still amazes me that children could literally clean an entire field of stuff within minutes. You can't clean their room in hours, but they can clean a field in minutes. Other than that, I don't have anything else off the top of my list. Any other presentation? We'll go to Councilor Youngman.
Well, I'd like to thank Public Works and the police department. That phone booth outside of the Tarapala restaurant is finally on. I greatly appreciate that. Where's that at? Is that in the Public Works yard or something?
Yeah, it is. What we're thinking is let it sit there for a couple of months, wait to see if anybody comes and claims it, which I'm sure they won't, because we did an extensive search to find the owner when we were talking about turning it into a little library, and then we'll put it on the auction and see what we can get out of it.
All right, fantastic. That was my concern is, is there some way we can actually turn this into a small financial return back to the city on the amount of time and effort we put into that thing. So, yeah. Okay, fantastic. Thank you guys for that effort and taking care of that. And that's all I have.
Yeah, I'll second that. I know I sent you guys a message as soon as I saw it gone. I'm like, oh wow, look at that, it's finally gone. Councilor Thomas?
This isn't a criticism, it's just things I heard today at T-ball down at the park, and this is all, has to do with weather, but North Marion Youth Athletics, the T-ball and little guy ball is all starting over there. People were just asking about like a maintenance schedule for those fields or for mowing, and the people at least I talked to, I said we have a schedule, it's gonna happen, you can't mow when it rains 2 inches, like that kind of thing, but there were people who were asking about it, so I just wanted to bring it up. I know there's a schedule and you guys have a plan, but just something I heard today.
Well, on the maintenance of the fields themselves, we generally, as a rule, have not taken care of those in the past. It has generally been whichever club comes in, they'll do the maintenance, drag it, get the weeds out, that sort of thing. This time of year, we're hoping it's not quite as bad as it was last year, but we'll get out and mow it as soon as it clears up enough and we're not mowing through puddles.
Sure, yeah, that's basically the information I relayed, and that there is a mowing schedule, and so people are aware. I just wanted to bring it up because I heard it from a couple people, but tried to let them know you can't mow, and it's a lake.
Oh, you can have a mud field.
Yeah, we just want that, yeah.
I got some feedback from some community people that really appreciated the gravel that went down at the mailboxes. They said if you ever have any extra, a little bit more at the F Street and 7th would be nice, but they appreciated the fact that they asked, was brought up, and you went ahead and put gravel down. Save some of the elderly people from stepping in the mud, so thank you.
Yeah, actually, we need to point out as well, thank you for quickly addressing that pothole too, that was right down from the harbor head. This is a pretty big pothole that opened up from all the rain. So, or a sinkhole, I don't know what you call those, it was pretty big now. So. Okay, there's nothing else?
So hole?
Huh?
Swimming hole?
Yeah, feels like swimming hole right now, it feels like a lake, the lake covered out there. If we're done with that, we'll go ahead and move on to, agenda topic number 4 then for now. I got this one, and we'll start off with Administrator Wade. Do you want to kick it off with your first report that you had, which was kind of a review of the current bills that are going through the House, or how do we want to handle this part now?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Councilors. So I'll go over my report first, and then I will be handing it off to staff so that they can do their report. So I'll start off with mine. As you know, the 2023 regular legislative session is going on. We are about midpoint through. Some of the bills that I actually referenced in my report were a no pass and did not switch committees. So there's really no update on some of those, but I do want to update on some bills that the League of Oregon Cities has been tracking that has a direct impact on a lot of the rural cities throughout Oregon. And so, as you know, there's been a lot of focus on housing, rent control, and safe rest sites for unhoused individuals. And so we've been watching several bills. The omnibus bill is one that has several housing components to it. I want to thank a League of Oregon Cities and also all of the cities throughout Oregon that presented comment back to the legislature. There was a portion of this bill in which they were looking at small communities to be safe sleep sites for communities 10,000 in population and under. So a lot of the feedback that the legislature received from cities as far as the impact, the cost impact, and basically the resources that we did not have killed this portion of the bill. So that did not move forward. As we move forward through legislative sessions, I'm going to be actively involved in following things. So we can kind of prevent things happening to us and, you know, participate in things happening with us. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on. Another bill that we're actually pretty excited about is House Bill 3201-A. So there is an amendment to it. And this involves broadband expansion. So expanding fiber into a lot of the farming communities throughout our area in Marion County. There's going to be some additional information forthcoming from Business Oregon. They're going to be providing what the new federal communications map is going to be, and then also what the funding model is going to be. So funding won't hit our communities until probably 2024, but the plan and the maps will be out probably within the next 6 to 9 months. So I'll be bringing that back to the council so that you can all see what areas they're going to be focusing on getting fiber so that there's more internet connectivity and also Wi-Fi access.
So is that going to like work for expanding the internet to areas that are underserved within like the northern Marion County area, that broader Aurora area, Hubbard area? Because our cities are small compared to the footprint that they actually have. So
Absolutely. So this map, I was hoping I would get an actual copy of what the proposed revision would be to this communications map. I did not receive it as of today, but as soon as I get that, I will share it with council so that you can see the areas and it's significant into our small community areas. Mhm. So next topic, financial updates. There has been some discussion already that there were 2 deficiencies identified in our 2022 fiscal year audit. These involve timeliness of completing bank reconciliations. There was also some areas of improvement identified as far as separation of duties and ensuring that there were controls in place. So I have been working with our financial consultant as of the first day that I started on March 27th. We have transferred all of the bank reconciliations to myself. By the end of this week, we will be fully caught up to March close. So that makes me feel a little bit better that I know what our bank account balance is.
By the way, that's a lot of work. That was a lot of work that you accomplished there.
Yeah, and also processed my first check run for AP. And so we do have some separation of duties in place and controls. We will start documenting what those processes are gonna be to make sure that we're prepared for our next audit and that there's no question that we've addressed those issues. And then also we will be talking about the budget. Really key for us was getting a lot of this financial work done beforehand, so that when we get to budget development, we have some accurate numbers to start building next fiscal year's budget. Vicki or Director Nuggles going to talk a little bit about the budget calendar coming up. It's going to be kind of tight, but we can discuss that. And then some community and staff engagement activities. So I've been meeting with staff and I've been scheduling monthly all staff meetings. Connecting with other city managers and administrators throughout Oregon and not just in our area. Connecting with smaller communities that are facing a lot of the same difficulties we are, as far as kind of the pressure to grow, but yet not having the resources, the inflationary factors that we're seeing with expenditures, but yet no resources to cover that. So it's been kind of a good partnership that we're building. I attended the Easter egg hunt. The weather was amazing, so that was good. Great community turnout, and then I'll be attending the Coffee with a Cop this Saturday as well. And I'll just quickly go over, I attended a meeting with Congresswoman Andrea Salinas. She hosted an event with local governments throughout our area to talk about issues of applying for and managing USDA grants, and specifically those grants associated with infrastructure. We provided a lot of feedback to her. She's bringing it back to the chair of the House of Representatives for either one, looking at the guidelines, can those be revised, or are those really statutes that need some revision? So we're hoping that through this process, it'll make it a little bit easier to apply for grants and then also manage those grants, and have some kind of creative options for matching requirements. We also had several staff members from other larger organizations such as Marion County, Lynn County was there, and they talked a little bit about resources and how they use different government agencies and consultants to help. So we talked a little bit about that as well. I attended the North Marion Business Services Alliance. We changed, the name got changed to Alliance instead of Program. So that was a really good meeting. We met with Business Oregon. We talked with some small and emerging businesses that are looking to locate in smaller communities in Oregon. So there is going to be an opportunity where there's a tour that will be put together to look at Aurora, Hubbard, Mount Angel, and Silverton, to look at their downtown areas and what would it take to revitalize. So it's kind of the first step. When that invite comes out and additional information, I will be sharing that with council, because council will be invited, and so we'll need to select 1 or 2 members to attend that tour. But with that, that's my quick update. Any questions?
The one question I have is the mowing support for spring and summer. First question I have is, does it really take 25 hours a week to mow?
Yes, I'm sorry, go ahead. Yes, it does.
Okay, so that's a week. Out of curiosity, you had down here $18 an hour for utility worker 1 to do that, but does that include the taxes we pay, social security taxes? I mean, is that the total cost, the full burden rate?
So Mayor, Council, that is not the fully loaded rate, no.
Okay, because I would be interested to see that, and then I'd also be really interested when we talk about this as well, on the $48 an hour for a contractor to come and do it on landscaping services. Is that mowing, but does that include edging, weeding, flower pots, stuff like that?
It's we can have them do whatever we want. It's $48 an hour.
Yeah. It's just curious.
I called 4 different landscaping companies, pulled them off the internet randomly. One guy never got back to me. One guy wanted me to send him a GPS location of all our parks and a detailed explanation of what we wanted him to do. One said they don't deal with large plots of land, and the other one said $48 an hour.
So the 48 comes from one, the rest just kind of blew you off.
Yeah, 48 because we didn't want to do it,
Yeah.
because that's annualized 100K.
So I would be curious of the burden rate. You know, what is it going to be at true cost for bringing on somebody to do it part-time? And if that's the best we can, I would love to see our parks really well mowed this year. I mean, Administrator Wade, I know I've talked to you about it as well. I mean, our parks are what we represent back out to the community. So if they don't see them looking good, then it doesn't matter what we're doing. People are just going to complain. They're not going to be happy. So, okay. So on that one there, are you looking for a decision this evening, or were you looking at trying to bring this person on board?
Well, so mayor, council, technically, I'm happy to come back and report, to the council, but technically this would fall under my authority.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would.
So I am happy to report back as far as the fully loaded rate. Generally, it's about 42% for, fully loaded rate added on to the $18 per hour, depending on what benefits are included.
So roughly 25-ish an hour. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is, about roughly about a half then, so
Yeah.
9 plus 18.
We're doing basic math there. What we got? Yeah.
Which is definitely a lot less than the 40.
Yes, definitely less than 48. It is in your purview though. So thank you. That was the question I had on those two. Oh, the only other thing too is I know we'll probably get a tour underneath Director Noble's side, but this goes back to Administrator Wade as well. I've noticed that our accrued vacation hours are quickly going way past the 250. So vacations seem to be taken, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mayor and council members, yes, I have been having conversations with my directors.
Thank you. Any other questions then for Administrator Wade before we move on to the rest of them?
Senate Bill 847 did not make it out of committee, is that correct?
That's correct.
And but House Bill 2513, 3201A, and 3011 did. Those three did make.
Yeah, all of them except, well, the omnibus bill has an amendment that actually struck some of the items that I discussed. And so that moved forward with no recommendation. So it means that nobody recommended that it be passed.
Thank you.
Mr. Thomas?
No question.
And I noticed the very last item on this thing, that a retreat scheduled with city council, discuss schools, budget, city administrator roles, and responsibilities. Are we, I don't know what your idea behind that is. Are you talking like an afternoon, or are you talking about some, going somewhere, physically going somewhere, is that something that you're, what's your idea behind that, this retreat that you have on the list?
So the retreat would actually be similar goal setting like like council has done previously during budget development. Unfortunately, I think we're kind of running up against budget timelines, so I don't know if we're going to be able to get that done prior to all the decisions that need to be made for budget. But it is a discussion that council needs to have as far as when are we going to schedule the goal setting session.
Okay, so that's basically the goal setting. Okay, so that's all I have.
Yeah, I'm assuming at this point, leading into the current budget cycle, because we are pressed on time, I'm assuming we'll just continue working off of the existing goals we have, which really goes down to the wastewater treatment plant, the improvements on the water, et cetera. So we'll have to then touch bases after June, once everything's set in stone, and we can figure out how we want to adjust the goals. Excellent. There's no other questions, then we can move on to this part.
Okay, so you have the activity report in front of you. I don't have anything to add to that. Personnel, we have 3 people in background for the 2 positions. I was just at the Chiefs conference and the new director talked. Sounds like the biennium, there's 20 new police academy, basic police. So it's 400 students a year. 800 in the biennium. So seems like a lot, but it really isn't for how much everybody's down. Problem with the police academy is they've got the money, they don't have the personnel. So they've been using agency loans of agencies that are shorthanded. So unfortunately, we don't have anybody to send them to help out other than Sergeant Anderson, who's a DPSSP instructor, but I don't think he's gone down there to teach firearms. So I don't know when we can get these folks in if they pass everything. I think October, but I'm hoping that it moves up. But I don't know at this time. We do have our Marion County law enforcement meeting tomorrow morning, and hopefully the director or one of his personnel there to give us another update on whether out the academies. We do have Coffee with the Cop this Saturday, 8:30 to 10. Hope to see a lot of people there. Just a reminder, National Night Out's August 1st. And I think we have 2 signed up already. I think that's what Molly told me. In ballot measure 114. It's looks like they have a Senate Bill 348 working its way through. And that's got an emergency clause. I don't know what's going to happen if that gets passed. And I don't know what the legal battle will be. Anyway, it sounds like the work groups have stuff in place, like the training, the permit process and all that. And we will be ready when it is implemented. So I don't know when that'll be. I was thinking we had till at least September, but it may be quicker now. So, and other than that, does you have any questions? The police department.
Just the 3 applicants, then all will have to go to the academy? Or any of them?
Yeah, none of them are lateral. There is one person who's in the law enforcement, but it's not a police position. So he would have to go to the basic academy if he's selected. Yeah, and the other 2 don't have any.
I'm just happy to see you got 3 applicants in background. I think it's great. Other questions? And by the way, thank you for giving us an update too on the active shot fire. That was the clarification you sent out. But with that, we'll go around the council. Councilor Young, anything additional for Chief Brown?
No, nothing specific. I just had a long-term observation. Back, this is a while ago, 2009, 2010, when I was on council. Towed vehicles were numbering well over 30 a month. I noticed this month there's a total of 5. That's I think that's saying positive things for our police department and the number of vehicles that were towed, the number of people that are being impacted. So I think that's a plus. Now, admittedly, that's been 13 years ago, but yes, on the long term, we can make changes and make positive changes through our community. Thank you, Chief Rash.
Okay.
Councilor Thomas.
Are we being impacted, do you think, being shorthanded with things like traffic and, just general day to day? Like, do you think there's an impact to being 2 people down?
Oh, yeah. I think our activity level will show that self-initiated will be down. I don't think our call load has gone down any, but yeah, we're definitely not as proactive as we were.
I remember there was some new legislation that came out about what you could and couldn't stop people for. I'm assuming that's impacting things as well.
Yes, that's the lighting equipment that is a secondary. It's now not something people should be able to have one headlight, one tail light.
Well, appreciate everything you guys are doing shorthanded.
Councilor.
With 3 in the background process, we're not losing another one.
No, I decided to do all 3 just because of the odds. And there is one who's in background with another agency. So I gotta tell you, I was at the chief conference in like Eugene, Salem are down. I think Eugene's 30, Salem's 26. Mount Angel and Jervis were full staff, and I think they're both gonna be down one. Yeah, and then Canby went down one, and I said, leave my agency alone. But, yeah, there's just down and trying to get people up. And then there's the police academy just doesn't have the resources to keep up. So, but I do like the governor did a great job selecting the director. I think we got a good one.
So kind of on that note, since our, looks like overall our municipalities, our county, our state, you know, we're quite shorthanded. Is there anything at the state level or to address this? I mean, is there some sort of legislation? Is there, you know, salary increases? Is there incentives? And just as a, you know, on a longer term basis, in the next 1 to 5 years, is there anything in process that, you know, that we're looking at?
I don't think there's anything at the state level. The state police are in the same boat. As for salary increases, I think that's individual municipalities and counties. And just, you know, the smaller the municipality, the less resources they have. And one thing I do know is that these bigger cities were offering some pretty significant bonuses, and it's my understanding that they put a nix to that, so that they can't do that any longer.
Okay, I'm just thinking that, you know, as a you know, general state situation, this is it's maybe something with a state legislature. You know, I know we're just hovering here, but you know, it seems like a systemic problem that needs to be addressed at the
It's actually a
federal level.
national problem. I mean, there's agencies across the country or states just like us. I will tell you that we in the chief's organization, I know the sheriff has it too, we have what's called the legislative committee, and Chief John Teague from Kaiser, who's excellent, was on that, and the chief from Tiger, Chief of Alpine, and then Chief Ferris, who retired. They're very talented. They're down in legislation all the time, and they lobby for everything. But I don't see this state putting resources up to it. But for law enforcement, like hiring and stuff, it'd be great if they did. It'd be awesome. But I think they're just choosing to put resources in another direction.
We as a state are still reeling from the defund the police and all that. I mean, that still has repercussions.
Yeah.
Maybe not here. Our issues are that it's hard to compete with these other agencies that you know, have more resources and more opportunities. And when they're short, then we go short. It's just it's hard to fight. And then I mean, some of them are just ruthless out there. They will recruit right in front of you. Yeah. So, but yeah, we're trying, and you know, Hubbard's a great place to learn the job. It's, you know, our activities, not so that you get so much overwhelmed. You can be proactive where you actually learn the job. But it's hard to keep them right now, just because of the opportunities out there.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Chief Rash before we move on? If not, let's go ahead and move on to Director Knoll.
We received the bound audit, the 2020 fiscal year 2022-23. I will be scheduling the auditor meeting. The budget calendar, 23-24 budget calendar is on your consent agenda for approval, as well as appointing the budget officer. The first, the budget meeting is scheduled for June 6th at 6:30. So make sure you get that on the calendar. We need to go ahead and move forward with the city council goal setting, as you guys were talking about earlier. Would you like me to put out some dates for you?
Yeah, let's see if we can find something in June or, July or August after the budget cycle starts. Mr. White, do you agree? That'd be, I don't want to overburden it at this point. There's a lot for you to ramp up on, and budget stuff's gonna be a lot of work.
No, I think that will be fine. We will be ramping up with audit, but I think we'll be okay.
If we just closed audit, we're gonna do it again.
Yeah.
We already talked about the, personnel policy update, so that's gonna be with, city administrator Wade and city attorney. So I don't need to schedule a date now. I have that on my report. I also wanted to give an update in regards to the, planning, the UGB. I'm waiting for updated numbers. However, I did get some information in regards to the, Mid-Willamette Council of Governments moving forward with, trying to get a grant for the UGB, or excuse me, the comprehensive plan update. So they were calculating about 10 hours of GIS and 20 hours of planning. Total approximate amount for them to get this started was about 3,000. And we do have that in the budget, because we put money in the budget for this process.
So 3,000 for them to start.
Yeah, just for them to get started.
It's $100 an hour, 30 on.
We're doing good on that tonight.
You guys were talking about, it's, the police positions, but it's really all across the board. I went to my mid-year conference here, and we were sitting at round tables talking about from other agencies. Hard to get finance, as you know, public works, it's everywhere. In all cities.
So I'm happy we found who we did for our position.
All right. Me too.
Okay, question for Director Noble. We'll go opposite way this time. Councilor Rogers.
No.
Councilor Cobb. Councilor Young.
Nothing at the present time, I think.
Let's move on then to Public Works.
Okay, a couple of things I'm gonna add to my report here. We did receive the new, pump for digester number 1. It is sitting in the shop. We are waiting for the ground to clear up enough to where we don't sink the, crane truck into the mud where we have to have a tow truck pull it out like we did when we pulled the pump out. It's a little bit smaller than what I was expecting, but it has the same, certifications as the one we pulled out. It's just smaller. I'm assuming that it's because of it's newer and there's been improvements to those sorts of things since 1984. The item we took off the consent agenda with T-Mobile, we had a late minute addition to that. They're offering us some lease money for the ground that they're going to use to put the generator in the building. So instead of having you approve the power lease stuff, we're going to add it together in one lease and bring it back to you when we get all that hammered out. Good news is it looks like possibly we'll be able to pour concrete on G Street by sometime this summer. We're real close to getting that all hammered out, so we got our fingers crossed. But then again, they promised us that before. So
And what month did you say that was?
what?
For G Street for the sidewalk
Sometime this summer.
in the summer.
We're hoping that we have everything hammered out by June. And the last thing I've got is we did get our other pump back to the wastewater treatment plant for the return, and it was done on warranty, so it didn't cost the city anything.
I have questions when you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, first question, on number 3, the fire hydrants. Maybe I'm aloof and I've missed it in the past. Have we talked about the fire hydrants you've replaced in the past?
Well, we did have that discussion about, we've got, 2 of them over in the industrial park that need to be rebuilt, and because of COVID and the chain of parts, they were hard to come by. I finally got, some quotes with some parts, and unfortunately, because of the way these hydrants are built, we also have to have the tools that we need to get, seats out and that sort of thing. So part of it, the bill's looking at like about $4,500. About 1,000 of that is one-time expense to buy the tools that we need to take those fire hydrants apart. We've done it in the past with hammers and chisels, and that really doesn't do a whole lot of good for those cast iron hydrants.
I brought it up to Superintendent Krebs after trying to fill the water tender out in industrial. It was leaking all over. It was difficult to open, and I said, wow. And he goes, he's identified a couple of them simply because of age.
So is it just 2 of them right now, or do we have a full inventory of others that might need it?
Yeah, there's actually 4 in the inventory we've got that are not working anymore. Recently, number 4 is out on 99. They did some extra, or there's a fire out there, they're using it, and they couldn't get it shut off. So I went out there on Monday and did what I needed to do to get it shut off and, return the valve back to the fire department, but it's just a matter of getting parts for it. Fortunately, it's at the self-storage, and there's one right across the fence from it if anything happens, so there's still, the ability to access the fire hydrant there. Also, another thing in those fire hydrant parts is I did order up a, replacement barrel for one of the 4 we've got, that they can actually replace the barrels and go from a 2-quart to a 3-quart.
So each one's in 4,500, so you're looking at an $18,000.
No, the parts to rebuild the 3 fire hydrants, the tools, and 1 barrel is about $4,500.
And how much you were to do all of them?
The ones that we can change this way, we've got 7 or 8 different styles within the city. The ones that are 2-quart along 3rd Street are all basically the same make, same year, and the barrel replacements will work just fine for those. And we're planning on doing one now, and then hopefully putting into the budget. Hopefully next year. If not, we'll take it out to the next budget after that. But to get all 4 of them replaced.
So do they need to be done right away then, or is it something that we can wait for budget? I'm just kind of curious on the part of that. What's the priority for these? Is this like our fire district coming and saying we need that?
No, it's something that just needs to be done because 2-quart fire hydrants, and they've got the small 2.5-inch hookups on them. They actually hinder us when it comes to our fire insurance rating because they cannot supply enough water for them to put out a fire.
So low pressure, small hose connection, yeah.
And we've got the money in this year's budget to go ahead and do the purchases that we've already are considering. We've actually made the purchases, and then we'll try to put the other 3 barrels into next year's budget.
Next one, I had a question on the warning letter from DEQ. The one of them, I think you already let us know about the particulates probably increasing. The one that caught me though is the QA/QC warning, I guess would be the lack of a better term. Is that something that we could have been prevented? Is it something that we just weren't prepared, we're following the procedure on it? That's the one I'm most curious about.
That sort of hits by surprise because what the permit says is that we have to calibrate the pH meter once per week. We were calibrating it with the solution of pH 7. The probe sits in pH 7, so you basically, when you turn the probe on, you check it at 7. Okay, it's good because that's where it should be. What DEQ was telling us is that it has to have at least a 2-point calibration and a 3-point calibration is better. So they make a pH solution of 4, they make a pH solution of 7, and then make a pH solution of 10. So what they want us to do is make sure that we can, the meter reads correctly on that swing between 4 and 10. So that's basically what it was. So we had been doing it, but somehow that slipped to the wayside just because I always thought it was a good idea. But when he came in and said that we needed to do it, we went out and bought solutions, and now we've got all 3 of them sitting there. So when it gets around to week of calibration, okay,
So we can do it now.
we can do it all the way across. The other thing they got us for is because they weren't documenting it. So I had a long discussion with them that yes, every week you document everything, the incubators, both for the E. coli and the BODs. You document whatever you do with pH meters. You document calibrating the scale. If you do it, you mark it down on the sheet that it's been done.
Did they dock us for that? Would you get a warning on that as well? I don't remember reading them.
No, they slapped their hand.
Okay. Hold on. I had a few more. The next one on number 8, the wildfire protection plan. There was a survey on the very bottom that's going to be sent out. And I'm curious, who's sending that survey out? Is that us sending out that survey?
No, I think we're getting it through the state of Marion County, wildland fire prevention.
Okay. So is it just something the city does then?
Yeah, it's a questionnaire, do you live by wooded areas? It basically, the state wants to find out how vulnerable we are to wildfires such as Detroit or, Malala or that sort of thing.
Not now, if you see Mill Creek, it's flooded. Okay, jumping onto the dashboard, a couple questions. The first one on the 99E ADA. I saw that, I finally figured out the red means it's delayed. I'm not sure what's delayed on it now, but curious, are they going to be repainting the crosswalk lines? Because it's really confusing to have 4 of them there. Which ones should we stop at?
Yeah, when they come through, they will. And what they expect is the temporary one they put in for a safety measure, that's the one behind it. Will wear off in time, but when the state comes by and does the thing, the crosswalk shows them, they'll redo them.
Okay, so that will get done.
Yes,
Are they gonna throw any grass seed? Might be something silly, but where they were doing all the truck moving along that one area, are they gonna do anything for the mud pit that's there now?
probably not something that we're probably gonna have to do.
Okay.
But on that side, ODOT did come along and take care of our local fishing hole on 99 B Street.
Did they finally unplug that thing?
I've been doing, making rounds through there during the rainstorms, and I've yet to see anything like we had experienced in the past. So,
Just all over on Fifth Street and stuff.
yep.
Or 4th Street. Okay, hold on, I had a couple of other questions. Let's go through that real quick. That one was done, so it's marked as done. The 2022 city shop yard access. Is that like the front access over here? What is that one? It's the first time I think I've either read it or paid attention to it.
Along the side of D Street where the arborvitae have been removed, we are gonna put a gate in. And the gate is purposely for getting the generator that's behind the shop in and out.
Okay.
That was an award for us from Oregon Emergency Management. And the deal on that is if the state decides that it has a better location for that, we have to give up use of it. They can come and take it at any time they decide that there's a better place for it. So because of some work we did to segregate the sand piles from the gravel piles, we've got a couple of Jersey barriers back there. we are not able to get that out, so we have to put a gate in there to allow access for that. And that would be the only reason why we would open that gate, but we have to do it either, we call Columbia Helicopters and lift it over the shop.
And you can get it in there.
Oh, it was before we put those jersey barriers in.
Let me see going on, the railroad road cleanup, I'm assuming it's delayed still. You have a green, but I'm assuming it's delayed.
Yeah, it's something they'll do when the weather gets nicer, when the crews are not as busy, blah, blah, blah. Railroad.
The only other question I have on your dashboard, well, I guess I'm doing, but on the sidewalk repair project, I know we got a lot done last year. I can see throughout the city. Do we have an inventory of how many remain versus how many got done?
Yeah, I think there's 4 or 5 that have not been done, but I think that, when, we get a little bit of time, I'm gonna go back through, because I've noticed some areas that need to be done that were passed over last time.
Do you want any help? I mean, we walk the streets all the
If
time.
you see something you think needs to be dealt with, either send me an email or a text, yeah.
Okay. And I don't want to be like I'm glad to see progress being made. I'm glad to see some of the sidewalks being repaired. That's really nice. By the way, thank you for the dashboard this month. Believe it or not, I do read it. Splash fountain, that's my other big one, obviously concerned about that one. We will be up and ready to go Memorial Day.
Yep, that's, we're gearing up, getting all the stuff we need to get together. We're gonna start, working on that, the 1st of May.
And we got a new pump to put in there, right?
2 new pumps.
2 new pumps. So it's gonna be shooting up to the
Well,
sky.
I'm not gonna guarantee you that. I'm gonna, put my neck out on the, chopping block here and tell you that it's not gonna break down this next year.
Good. That'll be awesome. That'll be awesome. And we're gonna take the old pump, and just to check, we're gonna take the old pump and rebuild it, so it's
Yes.
ready to go as a spare.
Did some checking with, Marion County Health Department. And I've got a old pump or, down at the wastewater treatment plant, we can actually use that if push comes to shove. We have to disinfect it, but he couldn't find any regulations anywhere that said that we couldn't. So we do have options.
I'll make sure if it breaks down again, we're good to go. And the splash fountain brick replacement, which is right underneath it, you see before the season. Is that something you need volunteer help on, getting those set or anything? The only reason I've asked on that is I do know that, I've been approached a few times about, hey, what about the bricks? We took all this time to build this fountain, and we get these fixed.
If you know somebody that's willing to come out and help us that knows masonry work, yeah.
Okay.
Because, we'll limp through it, we can do it, but, a lot of the stuff we do, it works, but it ain't too pretty.
Now, on that one, how many are we looking at replacing?
About 50.
About 50? Too bad. Oh, yeah, I don't know. But they're pre-cut and ready to go, right? It's just a matter of someone that knows how to apply mortar and do it cleanly.
Yep.
Okay, that's my laundry list of questions. I'll be quiet now. Other council members, Councilor on
Okay, reel back a little here, going back to the fire hydrants. So, getting our way back machines in here too long. So Joe Dryden was our fire chief for a long time, if I remember right. And way back when, he had talked about the fire department helping support replace some of the hot fire hydrants. Again, that's been some time ago, and we've had, what, 2, 3 different chiefs since then. I'm sure the board's completely different. I don't know if we have any support in it from them, as in assistance in replacing and or repairing the fire hydrants. Or if they have any equipment locally or that can be borrowed from the fire department that they may have access to. And that might be a phone call to make, is my comment there.
When I was, dealing with this one out on 99, I, stopped and talked to the acting fire chief. And, told him what the plans were. And he didn't seem overly excited about anything I said, but yes, I can get back in touch with him and find out what kind of resources the fire department might have that we could access.
And that's my only comment, is maybe we can get support from our local fire district.
Anything from you, Councilor Thomas? Councilor Rogers?
I'm only thinking because they came to us asking for money for their remodel, that they don't have enough money to.
But they may have access to the fire departments or other resources that.
Well, we do have, an intern chief comment on the line, so maybe he can just give us a brief update.
I only have a couple of things. One, good job on the, getting the safe drinking water stuff done.
Right.
Approved. That's awesome. That looked good. T-Mobile generator. I know after the ice storm, we asked if they had a generator. You said you were gonna get that as part of their, no, there's not a Verizon there, is there?
Yeah, there is Verizon. Verizon does have a
They
generator.
do. So everybody will have generators.
Yes.
Good, considering, yeah, I still, we were down. I mean,
I think
that's-
that's great. I'm really glad that we followed through with that. All that.
I apologize. Do have two other items, and I apologize. First, I want to say, a thank you to Public Works Administrator, Melinda Ollinger, for that award that we received on the water system improvement project. And my only other comment is on the dashboard. When it comes to using owner under that, it lists first names, Melinda and Mike. Yeah, maybe if you could update that a little to where it says, Public Works Superintendent or Public Works Superintendent and Public Works Administrator. I think that might look a little more professional in that area. So, title and or last name or title if possible. So that was the other two items.
Well, I found it interesting. It's like a skills when you're looking at all the color codes too. It's like, wow, these are a lot of colors.
No, the colors I can go back and reference.
Anything else?
So, okay, that's it. That's it for that.
Okay, if there's nothing else on the city administration side, we do have Hubbard Fire District Intern Chief Carmen on. Do you have an update on how things are going, Chief?
Yes, thank you for having me on tonight. Last month, we responded to 71 calls for service. 38 of those were within our district in Hubbard, and the rest were mutual aid. We had one call of note. We had a barn fire last Saturday night, early Sunday morning. So we did get help from Aurora and Woodburn, Monitor, and Dundee fire districts. They were all there to help us out. Greatly appreciative of the team effort that was put forth. There were some goats that lost their lives, but a majority of the 40 goats did make it out of that barn fire. So good news. Our dorm remodel's coming up. That's scheduled to start May 1st. It's supposed to last about 6 weeks. So we're getting ready for that, nailing down the final details and figuring out where we're going to move things around at the station to allow that work to get started. Last night, the Volunteer Association, they held some interviews and we brought on 3 new volunteers just to help keep the staffing up at the district. That's one of our constant struggles is we have a lot of turnover. So it's bringing new folks on, getting them training, and then getting them helping out with responding to calls. And then they typically leave us after a year or two of being trained and move into career positions elsewhere. So it's always good to get a new group of folks in that allows us to train them and really practice the basics and kind of re-energizes the older and more senior volunteers that have been on the district for a while. In response to your comment about the fire hydrants, historically, the city has taken care of those, but moving forward, I'm not opposed to talking about with the city about what we can do to work together to make sure that those hydrants work. And I do want to give a shout out to Mike. Anytime, Mike and Melinda both, anytime we have a problem with a hydrant, they are very quick, very responsive to get those items fixed or diagnose and figure out what's wrong with them and get parts ordered so they can be back in service. Never had an issue. Once I let them know a hydrant is broken or not working, I never am worried that it's not going to get fixed or it's going to take a long time. So a great partnership that I want to see continue. And if that means that we need to help out where we can, then we can talk and see where we can come to some terms with that. Tomorrow night, it's our budget meeting. So we've got a budget meeting at 6 p.m. and then a regular board meeting following that. I think I've got a pretty solid budget put together for the fiscal year 2023, 2024. So we'll see what the budget committee and the board of directors does with that as it's presented. And just as a reminder, those are public meetings. So anyone that's interested can come down and watch those proceed. Do you guys have any questions for me or for the district that I might be able to answer?
Councilor Young?
None right now, just, as I mentioned earlier, maybe touch base with Superintendent Krebs and maybe try and work something out on helping them repair these fire hydrants that we have having difficulties with. And I don't know if you can help out or not, but it'd be great if we can work on it together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Councilor Thomas?
No questions.
Councilor Ryder?
Chief Carmen, is any of the three local volunteers or are they out of district on shift?
They are all coming from out of district.
At least we know they're going to be around on shift. That's great.
Yeah, they are actually coming to us with some fire training already. One is a officer at another organization, and two have completed local fire academies. One over in Yamhill County, and the other, I believe, went to Santiam Academy down in Staten.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I don't have any additional questions. Is there any questions from department heads and or Administrator Wade for Chief Carmen?
Chief, this is Administrator Wade. I'll be reaching out to you just to do kind of an introduction and a meet and greet.
Awesome. That sounds great.
Okay, do we have nothing else? We'll go ahead and close out that topic. Thank you, Chief Carmen.
Thank you guys for your time.
Okay, and with that, we did skip agenda topic number 2, and I said I'd put that right up consent agenda. So interested citizens, if anyone would like to speak, please come up, state your name, keep it at 3 minutes, and that's about it. And address, name and address.
My name is Rocky Sherwood. I have 2622 Dina Place, Hubbard, Oregon. So I'm always on social media, and we always try to help out whenever we can, and we're all about bringing communities together. This we came across my desk is this kid Theo Lopez in Woodburn. He got diagnosed with brain cancer last year before his 6th birthday. They're doing a birthday drive-through for him 2 to 4 on the 15th, and for the people that can't show up, I'm collecting donations from whoever's interested in donating, and I'll be delivering to his house on the 18th before he has his chemotherapy on the 19th. So it gives him some positive lining, and so he doesn't get, he's a warrior. I talked to him on the phone for 30 minutes. I'm working with Hubbard Inn, they're donating, the coffee shop's donating, Safeway's donating, Barnum Options donating with us, partnering up, Nostro Orthodontist, and Wilsonville and Sherwood, they're sending me a gift card to take there. So a lot of participation, and I just was reminded from Chief Rash that you guys are doing a copy of the cop Saturday. is there any possibility where some officer can go to this 2 to 4 thing for Theo, maybe take him a box of Pokemon cards or any stuffed animals that you may have collected in the future that we could deliver for his birthday, if possible?
Sue, we were contacted by Woodburn PD and I'm just looking for the email. I believe that Sergeant Anderson's already on that.
I got a flyer right here if you need it.
We're good. Yeah, I believe it's the same, they're gonna do a drive-by for his birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just looking for the email to confirm.
Perfect. Thank you for working with Woodburn on that one.
Right, so that's all I pretty much got. If anybody got some questions for me, or like to meet up with me later and then purchase Pokemon and give it to me, I can deliver to them from you guys. So teaming off with Les Schwab as well. Les Schwab's going to get on and make a donation to the family. They're also trying to collect funds for their Disney World trip as a family. So that's all we got. Sorry if I went over 3 minutes, but I just wanted to let you know.
You're fine. You're only in 2 minutes.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
With that, I don't see anyone else online unless, Melinda, do you have anything you want to say or are you good?
I'm assuming she's good. That was completely good. Okay, so with that, go ahead, Melinda.
I was just saying, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, if not, let's go ahead and move on to the consent agenda. As I said, we did have one change. We dropped consent agenda number F, so that's been dropped out, that's T-Mobile lease. With that, I'll go ahead and read through the consent agenda titles. First one is approval of the March 14th, 2023 City Council minutes. Next is approval of the March 2023 check register report. C, approval of a letter to the Audits Division of the Oregon Secretary of State and authorize the mayor to sign. D, authorize approval of the fiscal year 2023-2024 budget calendar. For those that did not see that, that is in your packet. Next one is to appoint finance consultant Krista Bozerman Wolf as budget officer. G, resolution 746-2023, a resolution amending exhibit A of resolution 745-2023, initiating projects that are on a distribution of ARPA funds plan approved March 8th, 2022 by City Council for the Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Funds Award of the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, ARPA. It's a word salad. C, resolution 747-2023, a resolution adopting the Marion County multiple jurisdictional all hazard mitigation plan with City of Harvard addendum, sorry. And with that, that is the consent agenda. I make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as stated.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Consent agenda is carried. And with that, next topic, any other city business? Councilman.
I have one thing, and I thought letters. When there's a big fire and we're using water such as Sunday morning, is that something you want to be notified about
Absolutely.
earlier than later?
Yes, because what you're doing, especially at night, is you are trusting that the SCADA system is doing what it's supposed to do. If you get past a certain amount, or with us, the level of the reservoir drops, then another pump kicks on. Normally, yes, that would happen, but I would like to have somebody there going and make sure that it is, so we don't run the system dry. I don't know if you remember back when the antique shop in Aurora burned down. They drained their 750,000 gallon reservoir within a foot of the bottom because of problems they had with the water system. So to prevent something like that to happen, we have the ability to, what happened in Aurora is the power line to the well melted because of the fire and they weren't able to turn it on. If that happens, I can throw a generator on. I just have to have somebody on the ground to be able to do that.
We completed Mount Angel when it burned a year and a half ago. So this fire dumped a lot of water
Yeah,
for the entire 3 hours. So maybe when you have a talk with Chief Carmen, see if we can't get that. If it goes second alarm or something greater, get that implemented in, and then me personally, I'll try to remember to.
okay, yeah,
Also, let dispatch know.
very much appreciate that.
Mayor, council, yes, that's one thing that I was getting notified the next morning of people asking what was going on and did we respond? Was there any communication? So that is something that I'll be talking to the fire chief about and how those streams of communication flow.
Wonderful. Excellent. Department heads and or administrator Wade, any additional city business? We good? Yeah, next one's adjourned. So we have a motion to adjourn. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you. Well, hey, how are you? Good.